There is something that happens to you every single night that no scientist on Earth can fully explain. And no, it's not sleep. Sleep, we understand reasonably well. It is what happens inside sleep, a state so strange that the people who study it professionally still argue about whether it serves any purpose at all. Every night, somewhere between 90 and 120 minutes after you close your eyes, your brain generates an entire world. It populates that world with people. Some of them you know. Some of them your brain appears to have invented completely from scratch. It gives that world weather, architecture, and rules of physics that sometimes hold and sometimes don't. And then it runs the whole thing like a movie, while the part of your brain responsible for critical thinking quietly goes offline, so you can't even tell it's fake. You will spend roughly 6 years of your life inside that world. 6 years. And when you wake up, most of it will be gone within 4 minutes. Think about that for a second. Not just as a random fact, but as something that actually happened to you last night. Scientists have been trying to explain this for over 2,000 years, and they still can't agree on the answer. The earliest attempts go back to ancient Mesopotamia, roughly 5,000 years ago. The Assyrians believed dreams were messages delivered by the dead. The Egyptians built temples where sick people slept on sacred ground, hoping a god would appear and tell them what was wrong with their body. Aristotle was one of the first to push back. He argued that dreams were simply the mind processing the sensory residue of the day, still firing in the dark. And honestly, he was closer than anyone would get again for another 2,000 years. In the late 1800s, Sigmund Freud decided dreams were something else entirely. He called them the royal road to the unconscious. Every dream, he argued, was a disguised wish, a desire your waking mind found too dangerous to acknowledge directly. Decode it correctly, and you would find the hidden architecture of a person's inner life. Freud's ideas dominated for half a century. Then, in 1953, everything changed. A graduate student named Eugene Aserinsky was monitoring a sleeping child in a lab at the University of Chicago. At a certain point in the night, the needles on his machine went wild. The child's eyes were moving rapidly beneath closed lids. Aserinsky woke the child up, and sure enough, the child had been dreaming. What Aserinsky discovered was REM sleep, the specific phase of the sleep cycle where the most vivid dreaming occurs. But what they found when they looked closer was deeply strange. During REM sleep, your brain is almost as active as it is when you are wide awake. The visual cortex fires. The amygdala lights up intensely. But the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for logic and reality testing, goes almost completely quiet. This is why you can dream you are flying over a city made of glass and feel absolutely no need to question it. At the same time, your body is almost entirely paralyzed. A system called REM atonia disconnects the motor cortex from your muscles. You literally cannot act out what your dreaming brain is experiencing. So, your brain is firing like it's awake. Your body is locked like it's dead. And somewhere in between, you are living inside a world that doesn't even exist. That is not a metaphor. That is what is literally happening to you every single night, in the bed you think of as the safest place you know. The first serious scientific theory came in 1977. Two psychiatrists at Harvard argued that dreams actually mean nothing. During REM sleep, the brainstem fires random electrical signals upward into the cortex. The cortex, being the pattern-making machine that it is, tries to construct a narrative out of those signals. The dream is that narrative. It's just the brain filling time with whatever it can stitched together from electrical static. A lot of researchers found this convincing. A lot of others found it completely incomplete. Because here is what that theory doesn't explain. Why do dreams so consistently return to the exact same themes? Falling, being chased, showing up somewhere totally unprepared. These images appear across cultures that have never had contact with each other, in people separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years. If dreams were purely random noise, you would expect them to be different everywhere. But they aren't. You have probably had at least one of those dreams. Most people have had all of them. That is not a coincidence. Something is generating it. We just don't know what. In 2000, a neuroscientist named Matthew Walker at UC Berkeley began building what has become the most compelling modern theory. His argument is that REM sleep serves two distinct functions. The first is memory consolidation. During REM, the brain replays the experiences of the day, strips the raw emotional charge away from them, and files what remains into long-term storage. The dream is a processing session. It takes experience, drains the pain from it, and files away what's useful. The second function is something Walker calls overnight therapy. The neurochemical environment of REM sleep suppresses norepinephrine, the brain's stress chemical. This creates a state where the brain can replay disturbing experiences without the full physiological stress response those experiences triggered when they actually happened. You can revisit fear inside the dream without your heart rate spiking the way it did in real life. If you have ever woken from a nightmare, heart pounding, unable to separate the dream from the reality, you already know what it feels like when this system fails. That pounding is your brain trying to finish a job it just cannot complete. In fact, people with PTSD have deeply disrupted REM sleep. The emotional charge never drains from the memory, so the nightmare keeps returning because the processing never completes. But Walker's theory still leaves the strangest part unexplained. Why the narrative? Why the people, the places, the invented architecture? If the brain is just filing memories and processing emotions, why does it need to build a whole world just to do it? Antonio Zadra and Robert Stickgold propose that the dreaming brain is running simulations. It takes the emotional concerns of your waking life and builds scenarios to test them. Not as predictions, but more like rehearsals. The dream where you show up to an exam unprepared isn't just random anxiety. It is your brain rehearsing failure, so that if something like it happens in waking life, you aren't encountering it for the first time. Tonight, when you fall asleep, your brain will wait roughly 90 minutes, and then it will begin. The visual cortex will light up. The amygdala will surge. The prefrontal cortex will go quiet, and you will stop being able to tell what is real. You will go somewhere. You will feel things that seem completely, undeniably real. You will meet people your brain assembled from fragments of faces you've seen and forgotten, and almost all of it will be gone before you even finish your first cup of coffee. Whether the dream is processing your memories, diffusing your pain, or rehearsing you for a future your waking mind cannot yet see, something incredible is happening in there. Something that evolution has protected for hundreds of millions of years. Because REM sleep exists in every mammal ever studied, in birds, and possibly even in reptiles. Whatever dreaming is doing, life decided it was worth the vulnerability of being unconscious and paralyzed every single night just to do it. We just haven't figured out exactly what that is yet.